Here's a shocking truth that might make you question everything you think you know about one of America's most misunderstood predators. You're statistically more likely to be struck by lightning than killed by a coyote. Yet, these intelligent canines continue to be vilified as bloodthirsty monsters lurking in our backyards. Meet Dr. Hance Ellington, a wildlife ecology expert at the University of Florida who has dedicated over a decade to separating coyote facts from fiction. As an assistant professor specializing in wildlife ecology and conservation at UF's Range Cattle Research and Education Center, part of the Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences, Ellington has made it his mission to educate the public about these remarkably adaptable creatures. What fascinates me most about coyotes is their incredible intelligence and flexibility, explains Ellington, who has been researching these animals since 2010. They're capable of thriving in virtually any environment and displaying an amazing range of behaviors. But here's where it gets controversial. They're also at the center of numerous human-wildlife conflicts, many of which stem from misunderstandings rather than actual threats. Ellington's journey into coyote research began during his doctoral studies at Trent University in Ontario, where he investigated how these predators interacted with caribou populations in Newfoundland. He continued this work during his postdoctoral research at The Ohio State University, building a comprehensive understanding of coyote behavior that challenges many popular assumptions. So how many of these so-called dangerous predators actually call the Sunshine State home? The answer might surprise you. Nobody knows for certain. What experts do know is that coyotes have successfully colonized virtually every corner of Florida, from the Everglades to suburban neighborhoods in Jacksonville. The distribution pattern is fascinating, Ellington notes. Areas with abundant food sources and fewer apex predators, think regions without Florida panthers or large populations of Burmese pythons, tend to support higher concentrations of coyotes. But they've proven they can adapt to almost any habitat. But here's where urban and suburban residents need to pay attention, and this is the part most people miss. Coyotes aren't just wilderness dwellers anymore. They've successfully integrated into city life across Florida, becoming our newest urban neighbors whether we invited them or not. Contrary to popular belief, these animals naturally maintain a healthy fear of humans and actively avoid direct contact. The problems arise when well-meaning people inadvertently train coyotes to associate humans with easy meals. In their natural state, coyotes are opportunistic omnivores with incredibly diverse diets, consuming everything from fruits and nuts to rodents, rabbits, reptiles, birds, and insects. They're also efficient scavengers, cleaning up carrion that might otherwise pose health risks. Urban coyotes, however, have expanded their menu to include pet food left outside, improperly secured garbage, and other human food waste. And yes, they will prey on cats and small dogs, particularly during nighttime hours when their hunting instincts are most active. For dog owners, this means keeping pets on short leashes in areas where coyotes have been spotted, especially in parks, wooded trails, and other semi-natural urban spaces. Cat owners face a starker reality. Indoor cats live longer, healthier lives, and keeping them inside eliminates the risk entirely. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: coyote attacks on humans. The media loves dramatic stories, but the statistics tell a very different tale. Across the entire United States and Canada combined, only about 3 coyote bites occur annually. To put this in perspective, there have been exactly 2 confirmed human deaths from coyote attacks in the recorded history of both countries combined. Compare this to approximately 33 dog-related fatalities every single year in the United States alone. So why do we perceive coyotes as such a significant threat? The answer lies in human psychology and behavioral patterns. When coyotes discover a reliable food source, they return repeatedly. It's simple survival logic. However, this repeated feeding can gradually erode their natural wariness of humans, increasing the likelihood of closer encounters and, in rare cases, defensive bites. These incidents typically involve toddlers and small children who might be perceived as less threatening than adults. A near sight of more coyotes in an area can trigger fear responses in residents, regardless of whether the animals pose any actual danger. However, genuinely aggressive coyotes do exist and should be reported immediately to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Understanding coyote foraging behavior holds the key to reducing human-wildlife conflicts, but here's where our knowledge hits a frustrating wall. Like humans making daily decisions about where to grab lunch, coyotes constantly evaluate their food-seeking options based on factors we don't fully comprehend. We suspect their choices are primarily driven by energy economics. How much effort will it take to obtain a particular meal versus the nutritional payoff, Ellington explains. But the specific cues they use to make these calculations remain largely mysterious to us. This knowledge gap creates significant challenges for predicting when and where coyotes will hunt or forage, whether in rural rangelands, dense forests, or busy metropolitan areas. Most human-coyote conflicts occur around feeding and hunting activities or near den sites during breeding season. If researchers can crack the code of coyote decision-making, they could develop more targeted and effective conflict prevention strategies. But here's where things get really controversial. The livestock predation issue that has ranchers and wildlife advocates at odds. Florida ranchers occasionally report coyotes killing calves, goats, and sheep, leading to calls for aggressive population control measures. However, Ellington's research reveals a more complex picture. While coyotes are certainly capable of killing livestock, they're equally likely to scavenge animals that died from other causes, such as disease, difficult births, or accidents. This scavenging behavior can create the false impression that predation is more common than it actually is. Two comprehensive University of Florida studies tracked 711 newborn calves from birth through weaning across 5 ranches in Collier, Hendry, and other Southwest Florida counties. The results were eye-opening. Not a single confirmed calf death could be attributed to coyote predation. These findings suggest that coyote attacks on cattle are exceptionally rare and don't represent a significant economic threat to most Florida ranching operations. However, Ellington acknowledges that individual coyotes or family groups might develop specialized hunting behaviors targeting livestock at specific locations. Interestingly, several factors work against coyotes when it comes to calf predation. First, these adaptable predators typically have access to numerous alternative food sources that require less energy and risk to obtain. Second, mother cows are formidable defenders of their offspring, making calves a potentially dangerous target for a relatively small predator. So what's Dr. Ellington investigating now? His current research focuses on coyote ecology across Florida's diverse landscapes, tracking how these animals move, behave, and utilize space in rangelands, forests, and urban environments. The goal extends beyond simply documenting where and when certain behaviors occur to understanding the underlying motivations driving coyote decision-making. For example, his team is analyzing how coyotes select travel routes. Do they follow natural cover like creek beds and tree lines? Do they actively avoid busy roads and high-traffic areas? Are they drawn toward neighborhoods with more available food sources? These behavioral patterns could help communities predict where conflicts are most likely to occur and develop targeted prevention strategies. This research serves a dual purpose, reducing human-coyote conflicts while preserving these animals' crucial ecological role. Despite their controversial reputation, coyotes provide valuable ecosystem services by controlling rodent and rabbit populations that might otherwise damage crops and spread disease. They also function as nature's cleanup crew, consuming carrion that could attract flies and bacteria. Additionally, coyotes act as seed dispersers, spreading the genetic material of various plants through their fruit consumption and subsequent waste. But here's the question that might spark some heated debate. Are we approaching coyote management all wrong? Instead of viewing them as problems to be eliminated, should we focus on coexistence strategies that acknowledge their permanent place in Florida's ecosystem? And this raises an even more controversial point. If coyotes pose such a minimal threat to humans and livestock, are our fear-based responses actually creating more problems than the animals themselves? When communities implement aggressive removal programs, they often discover that new coyotes quickly move in to fill the vacant territory, sometimes exhibiting even bolder behavior than their predecessors. What do you think? Are coyotes unfairly demonized, or do you believe the concern about these predators is justified? Have you had personal experiences with coyotes that support or challenge the scientific evidence presented here? Share your thoughts and experiences. This is exactly the kind of discussion that could help communities develop more effective and humane wildlife management strategies.